Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so excited for this training. Number one, I just want to apologize to everybody. I got a lot of messages yesterday, so thank you. You know me, I don't cancel anything. So when I cancel stuff, it's usually pretty urgent. But I just want to thank everybody for being patient. I know we're going to probably have a little bit lower numbers today. But we'll have Heidi on and personally messaging people and letting them know, hey, it started. Are you planning on joining, to try to get out as many reminders because it was such a last minute change. So we will do that. And as people hop on, we'll go from there, but we're just going to dive in. We literally have 2 hours together. So I hope to see you guys on the whole entire time, but I totally get it if you can't. And I actually want to start by sharing a little bit of an experience I had yesterday too, that's going to flow really good into this topic. So let me kind of just plan out the agenda. We're going to kind of go through, have everybody introduce themselves, welcome themselves, see why they're here, why they want to be here, what they hope to learn. We're going to go into so it's going to be very interactive today, very interactive, or else you guys will fall asleep listening to me talk the whole entire time. And then we're going to go into really establishing mom guilt, the different tips I have when moving forward within that, because that's part of my story yesterday too. So sometimes I feel like the universe just gives me opportunities to remember why I'm doing certain classes, and it happens every single time. Then we're going to kind of take you guys through an audit, through questions of like what you're where you're at. That's all I'm going to say. It's going to be a surprise. We're going to take you through an audit. Then we're going to talk a little bit about money mindset, money routines, things like that. For those of you that are business owners or not, we'll dive into that too. But if you're a business owner, comment below, I'm a business owner, just so I know where we're at with people. And then we're going to dive into time management, your personalized calendar. But either way, we're going to create all of you a 6-figure plan. So I'm literally going to give you guys, like, when I created this class, it was all off inspiration. I don't usually create new things, and this isn't probably one I'll ever repeat again. It was just very, like, I just felt like it was needed for women, and I felt like it was needed for people to just really dive into the amount of money that they are capable of making, and showing you how easy it is. So I'm literally going to show you just how I personally plan out everything, how my team plans out everything, and we're just going to dive deep into that. I'm having a little issues with my Zoom going back and forth, so bear with me. I think because one's on Chrome and one is not. I'm planning to start a business. I love that. Business owner. Awesome. Then best way to start is fresh. So I'm really excited for that. So let's just kind of one by one unmute as you want to, and then I won't have to choose a tier yet. But I kind of just want to know what you're hoping to gain, because I have a plan, but I can always tweak that plan for where we're at within what we're learning. So unmute yourself, kind of tell me why you're here and what you're hoping to gain from this. I'm going to unmute Angela because she's the only brave one that's showing her face. Don't worry, by the end, I will get everybody on camera. That's my goal. Let's see if it's letting you unmute.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Hi, Angela.
Hi. I am basically starting my life over. I got divorced last year. I got remarried. All 4 of my children are adults. I was home while my kids were little. I didn't work until my last one was like 16. And now I'm remarried, have 2 stepsons. One's 14 and one's 11. And I'm thrown back into running kids and all of that stuff. And at the same time, I have never had a business. I want to start my own business, and we have the kids 50-50. And I have yet to figure out how to keep a consistent schedule going from them coming to them leaving and back and forth. So I need to figure out how to get a flow, number one, for me, so that I can have some consistency because I do better. And number two, I have never had a business or anything, so I really have no idea what I'm doing.
Do you know what kind of business you're wanting to start, or what kind of give
Yes, I am finishing up my Foot Zone stuff so that I will have my license. And so I want to start doing that. I've also had some Reiki classes. You know, there's a whole bunch of little pieces that I would like to bring into that. You know, I have a Healy and some different things like that. So kind of some healing type stuff.
I love it.
So
I love all of that.
anything and everything you can give me would be awesome.
I will. Don't worry. I'm a Foot Zoner and a Reiki master, and I love Healy. I don't do anything necessarily with it, but I've experienced it and it's amazing. So that's super awesome. Awesome. Okay. We have some more people wanting to come in. Who else? Ashley, let's go to you next.
Hold on. Can you? Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So I have kind of a similar story. I'm kind of starting over after 11 years of being in babyhood, pregnancy, breastfeeding at all times. So starting a business doing pregnancy and birth support, kind of inventing the field because I'm not a doula and I'm not going to be at birth, but more for mental, emotional, and educational support. My struggles is I have twin 1-year-olds and a 3-year-old here at home at all times. And I've got to homeschool my 6-year-old this coming year. And I was very sick with all my pregnancies, so I don't have a good daily routine or anything like that. And then of course, little kids, always something kind of pops up.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And by the way, out of everything or all of the classes so far, that is the most clear and concise you have been on what you do and who you are. So I'm so very proud of you because that's awesome. Like that was very clear.
I'm working on it. I'm trying to zone back in, kind of have that. We were throwing in the early childhood thing. I'm kind of just throwing that as it'll be like a bonus in packages sort of thing. Just get them in with the pregnancy and really focusing on that.
I love that. And I love that you were very clear on like, I help with the mental, emotional, educational side of things. So that was awesome. Super awesome. Just had to throw that out there. Okay, Jessica, I know you just hopped on, but we're just kind of saying why you're here, what you're hoping to gain, and going from there.
Awesome. Okay, so why I am here, I stink at family life balance. So I'm either all in on my business or I'm all in on parenting. And my partner doesn't. That's just a period. He goes to work and then I feed him and then I don't see him. So my whole life mission is for my kids' stories to be that my mom was there. And, you know, like, so I'm there because I know that you've been through those stages, all of it, relationship, marriage, kids, stuff. And Finance Your Destiny is making me see all my other things. So I'm like, well, this can't be bad. You know, it can only grow from sitting there with you. So
I love that. And will you just share with everybody else what you do, just so everyone knows?
Sure. Yep. So I work with people that are stuck in there must be more. And I help them rid all the external expectations of where they're supposed to be showing up, what they're supposed to be doing, and reverse medical diagnosis so they can really live that best life.
I love it. That's awesome. And I love that tagline, helping people with the must be more, right? Because it really is. People get stuck in this chasing game or other things like that. So awesome. I'm glad you guys are here. I'm going to just call on Kelly because I pick on Kelly, just kind of, she's Kelly, what do you hope to do and connect with for people today? And then we'll go from there. And Heidi, don't worry. You're just kind of on the back end. I won't make you say anything unless you want to. So I'm just picking on Kelly.
by the way, I love you. Thanks for picking on me. So what do I hope? I just hope to get some clarity on what I need to do going forward.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. And I know exactly what you mean by that. So that's awesome. And then Heidi, if you want to say something, you can, but I know she's probably busy also working admin stuff. She's here working her little booty off behind the scenes. So what we're
I'll
gonna
say
do.
something.
Oh,
That's
yay.
fine. No
Yay.
worries.
Okay.
So why am I here? I'm here because I'm transitioning from a 9-to-5 job to my full-time business, so that I can be home with my daughter more. So just willing to get anything and everything to be able to fulfill that and live out my dream.
I love it. I love it. And if you guys have not had the chance to meet Kelly and Heidi, definitely get to meet them. They are the reason this is even possible today, because they really stepped up yesterday when I got super ill. And I literally was like 10 minutes to my first appointment. I was like, I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to do it. And I'm like projectile puking in the toilet. And I had all of these issues. And like my team was just like, don't worry, we got it. Like, just, go. And my midwife's like, you got to go to the hospital. Like, it was like a thing. So I just am so grateful for everybody involved and where we're at, which kind of leads me to the whole concept of, for those of you that don't know me, I know a lot of you are going to be watching the replay. I'm Nicole Henry. I'm a money energy expert and business strategist. So what I love to do is help people overcome their emotional cycles with money while creating personalized strategies in their business, which includes time management, right? Because you're exactly right. Jessica, I've totally been there and I get it. And I'm still there, you guys. Like, I look at my life and I'm like, okay, sometimes it's really hard, right? For example, yesterday, it's like, I'm in the middle of this crisis happening. I have a full packed day I have to figure out, right? On top of my husband's out in California, I have to figure out 2 kids and how I'm going to make it to the hospital, right? Like, just all of these things like happen. And I think sometimes they start to define us and all the hardships start to show us all the reasons we can't, right? When it gets hard. Because even that one thing, right, is going to make my day today a little harder, the rest of the week a little harder. And I still don't have answers and don't feel great, right? But it's like, why do we do what we do? Why are we here, right? And so we're going to dive a lot into that, but I really want to more start with the mom guilt thing. And I told you that I had a little situation happen yesterday where I feel like sometimes God puts me in these situations where I'm meant to experience it so that I can remember what it feels like, right? I can remember what it feels like. Because sometimes I've gotten to a point that I'm just really good with the push through now because I know it works for me. And I'm really good with my cycles and understanding things. But yesterday, it was a mental breaking point for me in the sense of I woke up, my whole body was numb. I had a massive migraine. And I was just sitting on the couch and I was like, I don't feel good. Like something isn't right. Right. I've had all these preeclampsia symptoms, but of course, because I don't have high blood pressure, I don't have preeclampsia, but I'm like, I know something's wrong with my body right now. Like something is not right. And so anyways, long story short, I went to the hospital. And for those of you that know my previous story, I have a lot of PTSD around the hospital and babies and stuff, but I felt like I needed to go. My midwife told me to go, so I went. I walk in and they were so nice, like so nice. I got there and they took me right in. They got me hooked up on an IV to help hydrate me and all these different things. They gave me some IVs, I think some Zofran, because I couldn't stop puking, and it helped. And I'm grateful for it, even though I don't love medicine. But I was like, okay, it's fine. Like it's working. I'm grateful. All these things. And I wasn't going to see the doctor. And they're like, yeah, well, the doctor just says we'll do this and then give you some Tylenol for your migraine and go home. Right. And I was like, no, that's not going to happen. Right. And so I started to ask for what I needed. Right. And so I was like, is there any way we can do an ultrasound? Like, can we get some lab work done? Like, check my iron levels, check my blood sugar. Like, I want some answers. Right. Like, I don't want to just be like, yeah, I'm not puking anymore, but I'm still like swollen as all could be. I'm still numb, all of these things. And they're just like, hey, you probably have food poisoning or some dumb thing like that. And I was like, whatever. And anyways, so I waited. She's like, yeah, I don't think that should be an issue. I waited for the doctor to finally come in. He came in and he just dewomanized me as a mom massively. And all he said was, you've chosen to go. Let me give you some context. I went to the hospital with my first horrible birth experience. Won't go into that. Second one, I did a birth center water birth. Amazing experience, super awesome. Had a miscarriage. And then this time I felt called to do the in-between. So I'm doing a midwife, like under a doctor in a hospital, just because it'll be my fourth time hemorrhaging. I hemorrhaged really bad and my miscarriage almost killed me. So my gut was like, I need that in between this time, just so I have the availability to get a blood transfer if I need one. So anyways, he walks in and he like kind of pinches my toes and he's like, so yeah, we're just going to talk about this because it's pretty much more important than what I'm needing in the moment. Even though I didn't go in for hemorrhaging, I didn't go in for anything. And he says, you have chosen to use a midwife. You have chosen to do alternative care. And I'm driving about 45 minutes to a different hospital because I don't like the hospital here for obvious reasons. And he said, because of that, if you don't care about your child, why should I care enough about your child to get you lab work? And so I was like, holy cow, did he really just say that? Like, can he legally say that to me? And normally if I'm in a good state, I'm in a place where I stand up for myself, but I was by myself. I drove myself there, didn't have my husband, had nobody. And he just kept going off about how irresponsible I am and how they'll give me the IV and Zofran, but I can choose to go natural methods of figuring it out myself. And all of these things, just really telling me pretty much how horrible of a mom I am, right? And the nurse was mortified and she was like, no, like, she's under a doctor. The reason, because he kept saying, you should have all these records of your blood work. And I said, I do. We've been getting tests. I've done it all of this stuff, because my midwife is still under hospital regulations. Right. And the nurse is like, it's just, she's not in with IHC. They're in with Mountain Star. That's why you don't have her records. And he's like, it doesn't matter. I just don't even care to help her because she's choosing to drive 45 minutes away and putting herself at risk with her hemorrhage history. And like, pretty much he just wanted no part to do with that. So it was interesting because I was just in tears. Like, I was devastated. I was like, not that I couldn't get the stuff done. I was just like, even he left and the nurse was like, I've never heard a doctor speak to anybody like that. And I am so embarrassed and I am so sorry. Like, I cannot believe that, like, I don't know what high horse he was on. And it started to get me thinking today, not yesterday. Yesterday, I dealt with all the fills. I left, got no answers. I pretty much, the puking is fixed. That's about it. But it was interesting because as I was thinking about this, I always feel like there's a reason, right? And I was like, I think it had to take me to a different level because I'm so strong in who I am, like very natural minded. Like we don't vaccinate, we don't do all of that stuff. Like I've already got all the shame before, right? When I healed my son the first time, people were like, you neglected your child of medical help, blah, 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 all these things, right? But it was around family and friends. I've never actually been mom guilted by a stranger to that level of like literally someone talking to me like I'm their child and speaking down to me of that. And so I wanted to dive deep into this topic today and share that because the mom guilt never, like, you're still gonna have it, right? But we have to really get real with who we are and why we are, right? And so when we start talking about this topic, I want you to really you've got to stop comparing yourself. Number one, you've got to stop comparing yourself as a working mom to grown kids versus young kids like Ashley, right? Like, that's a totally different point in life. Or somebody that has a lot of kids versus one kid, right? Like, that's a totally different scenario. I remember I had to really stop focusing on comparing myself to my stay-at-home mom friends, right? That they're always going on play dates and had all this time for everybody. And I just felt like, oh my gosh, I can't run a business and have friends and do this and do that, right? And I felt so bad that I didn't go on mom play dates, right? But I also, it wasn't a passion of mine. And so then I just was like forcing myself to do it. And I had to be okay with it. Like, we do different things as a family, right? Like, we may not sit down at family dinner to like every night together, right? My husband's not even home, but like, what do we do together? What do we do to make our family special? What do we do to make our lives work for us, right? As someone was just saying, you know, their husband goes to work, comes home, feeds, goes to bed. And we can feel like that's not okay, right? And maybe it's not for you. And if it's not, then it needs to change. But if it works for you, it works for you. So number one, you have to stop comparing yourself when it comes to this mom guilt thing, because we're all in different stages, right? I'm in a different stage when I had a 4-month-old pulling on my leg while I'm like trying to work and grow a business than I am now, where I'm able to actually hire someone 8 to 4 to come cook and clean and watch my kids, right? Which that only happened the past 2 months, right? And so I'm grateful for it. I have gratitude for it, but I've grown my business without that too, right? So I get it. And so I just feel like I get these rude awakenings to remind me of those moments so that I can tap back into that with you guys. But number one, you have to stop comparing. Number two, you have to realize, and I talked about this on a live video the other day, and I was like, that's good. I'm going to talk about that here too, is you have to learn how to adjust your schedule accordingly, right? Because everybody's life is different and every stages and seasons of life are different. So my son just started summer school yesterday. My schedule with him now, like, it shifts our whole entire schedule up, right? I'm not now able to sleep till like 8 and then start work at 9. I'm having to get up at 6:30, get him ready, right? But still follow my AM and PM routine of like, I want to get myself ready first before my kids, or else I won't get myself ready, right? And so I have to be willing to shift and adjust to every single season. Just as when my husband works out of town, he's only home on the weekends. So I choose to not work Fridays, Saturdays, or Sundays, right? Versus when he's doing local work, I can work Monday through Friday, but I'm going to work shorter amounts so that I can be done by the time he's off. And so asking yourself, when we go and actually create the schedule, what is it that you're having to shift and adjust to meet everybody's needs, right? Especially if you have kids like me that are in soccer every single night, and you have like, there's homework and just all these things, right? It's just, everything's different. And so maybe for me, I work 9 to 2 and then come back to work at 7 and do a few things. Maybe for you, you're like, I just want to get it all done in the morning, right? Whatever that looks like. If you're just starting your business, you really don't need more than 2 hours a day to work on your business, right? As long as you're utilizing the right strategies. And so we have to really think about, how do we do better, which is getting it all done? Or do we do better with time chunking, or what does that look like? And we'll dive deep into that. But I just want you to know that your schedule is going to look different than mine, and mine is going to look different than yours. And we have to be able to do that with no shame. The next thing is, you've really got to start thinking about delegation, because as you start to grow your business, as you start to do your own thing, right, you start to take on more. And what happens is we already have our old life in here of like cooking, cleaning, laundry, this, that, blah, 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 blah. And now you add a business, clients, social media, marketing, education, all this stuff. It is humanly impossible to do it all. But what happens is we start to actually let go of the stuff we just added, social media, marketing, business, all of this stuff, thinking that's the issue because we added it. When the real issue is you just didn't delegate any of the old stuff. Nothing old was delegated out. You didn't let go of anything, right? And it's not that you're broken. It just is humanly impossible for you to do everything. So I want you to write down just the first 3 things that come to mind that I want you to think about. If I was to delegate out something first, what would it be? And I think of things that I don't like to do, or I think of things that if I was making this amount of money, it's better for me to hire out a $10 to $15 hour thing that someone else could do. Well, I can go make hundreds of dollars in that hour, right? And so you ask yourself what that is. And I want you to just write the first 3 things that pop into your mind, and then we'll go from there. And then maybe type them in the side too, so I can kind of see where you guys are at. Childcare, nanny started yesterday, house cleaning, kid chores, like teach them to actually do them and make a schedule. Dinner prep, I hate making dinner, laundry put away. Awesome. Love this. So I kind of went the same route. So the first thing I did is my second son was about 4 months old. I just got in a car wreck and broke my hand, and it was just a mess, and I was trying to work and do all these stuff. And so not only for my sanity, my husband had just started his trucking business, and I was like, how am I going to do this? Right. And so what I did is the very first thing I hired out, minus like business coaches, right, was a nanny. I hired a nanny to come 2 hours a day, 3 days a week. That was the first thing I did, because I started to recognize I was so frustrated with my kids, because I'd be working and I'd be like pulling on my leg and I'd be like, just give me a minute. And I'm like, they don't know any better, right? And so it just wasn't working for me. So that's where I started. And I started when I had no idea how I was going to pay her. I just was like, I cannot make money without doing this. So I'm just going to put it in like the universe's hands that like I hire, and please, like, hope to God by the end of the month, like I can pay her. Right. And so that's kind of where I started. And then I think I hired out, I hired out like a website person at that point. And then it slowly just moved into where I'm at now. Right. And it's kind of came and flowed. So I had a nanny for about 2 years, different ones. And I was kind of just sick of the college turnover rate. So then I actually put my second in daycare around the age of 2. And I was always like super against daycare, but now it's been like the best thing for him ever. I actually have a nanny now, but I'm actually going to put him in daycare anyways, just to learn some things for a couple hours a day, because he loves it so much. But so that's kind of where I'm at. And now it's like I hire someone to come pick up my dog poop, right? I hire someone to do my laundry. I hire someone to cook my meals. I hire someone right now where I'm like physically can't do anything. I'm hiring someone to come feed all my animals and take care of my farm right now, right? And so And it's all worked out, you guys. And every person I've hired, I've literally not known how it's going to work out. I just know for me to make this happen, this has to happen. And instead of being in the mindset of like, oh, I have to wait until I have all the money for it, right? I'm like, because I do this and I jump with faith, I now can go create money. So that's where I kind of go with it. And I think that, yeah, kid transportation is huge too. And I also get the fear of letting someone drive them too. That's like a big fear of mine too. But I do have someone that takes my son to school every morning and picks him up right now. Once school officially starts, I'll probably take him, but I'll still have someone pick him up because guess what? That saves me literally almost 2 hours because I drive a ways to get my son to school. And then also, you have to be in like the school pickup line freaking 40 minutes early to even like be anywhere. And I was like, oh my gosh. But before, guess what I would do when I didn't have that ability? I rearranged my schedule that's when I did all my Voxer appointments. Or all my Voxer, like getting back to my clients on Voxer, checking my emails is when I was in the school pickup line, right? So there's always shifting and adjusting, but you have to remember what needs delegated, right? And sometimes that can be through trade, through low cost pay, or it may just be something you're like, for my sanity, I need this, right? So really think about that as you are moving forward. Okay, so we have delegate, you have things you're going to delegate. And then, last thing I was going to say with the mom guilt thing is you have to own you. You have to own your strengths, your weaknesses, your anxieties. Like nobody is a one size fits all, right? And there is things and quirks about me that drive my husband nuts. Like, so for example, speaking about the driving thing, my solution for this week, because I was supposed to have a busy day yesterday and it wasn't going to work out with childcare. And so I was like, well, my son's just going to have to go on the truck with my husband. Like that's always my last solution, right? But I just had this mom feeling like, when you just get that. And I was like, he just can't go. Like, he just can't go. And my husband's like, well, what are you going to do? And I'm like, I don't know. I literally have no idea, but he is not going with you. Like, I cannot shake this feeling. Right. And so, I didn't let him go. And I just own that. I own that. Like, I still honor my mom gut feeling over my business 100% of the time, but I still hold to my commitments typically. But guess what? It all worked out. I ended up in the hospital anyways. So like it all worked out and I didn't end up needing to find help because I literally was to last minute. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with him. Like, I literally have no idea. But it all worked out. I just trusted and then it all worked out just for a different reason. But own your anxieties. Like, it's okay if like, maybe you're like, maybe your strength is maybe you actually love doing laundry and cleaning, right? And you're like, I don't want to give that up, right? Awesome. Then what are you willing to give up? And so just because I'm telling you I hired a nanny doesn't mean you have to hire a nanny, right? Just because I hire someone to come pick up my dog poop for $10 every 2 weeks doesn't mean you have to, right? It's like you have to own your strengths and your weaknesses. What are you good at and what are you not good at? I am not good at cooking and I am not good at doing laundry, and I own that. And I tell my husband, hands down, I may be a stay-at-home mom that works, but I don't classify myself as a stay-at-home mom. Like, I am not a housewife. Like, I am not a housewife. Never, even before I owned a business, I would tell him all the time, I just am not a housewife. Like, if a clean house to you is important, we are hiring it out because I am not a housewife. It is not my passion to like clean all day long. And I own that, right? I own that. And it was hard because I was comparing myself to all of these other people. So those are kind of my top tips. So number 1, stop comparing. Number 2, adjust your schedule accordingly. Number 3, delegate. Number 4, own you, your strengths and your weaknesses, and just know there's no one size that fits all. So we're going to dive into the audit part now, right? Before we get into creating our marketing calendar and creating our calendar, we're going to dive into the audit, which is really, I'm just going to ask you a bunch of questions and I want you to just self-evaluate right now, just self-evaluate. So Let me see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's about 11 questions. So we've already talked about this, about why you are here, but I want you to write down why you are here for yourself, because I believe if we set an intention with every single class, then we know what we're looking to get out of it. And then we know what questions to ask. We know where we're at. So why are you here? Why are you here? Write that down on your paper. The next question is, what is your biggest block? Now, this can be, we're going to trust our intuition is, oh, sorry, in chat for you to see too. You can if you want, if you have time, but most importantly, just for yourself. What's the first question? Why are you here? The second question is, what is your biggest block? So maybe your biggest block to not get that thing you wrote down on question number 1, or maybe it's just something that popped into your head. Maybe you're like, definitely my kids. My kids are my biggest block, right? Or maybe it's time management, or maybe it's the skills, or maybe it's money, whatever it is, right? So just whatever first pops into your mind. There's no right or wrong, but what is your biggest block? The next question is, what is it that you're doing that is working? What is it that you're doing that is working? So for example, like right now, personally, right? My biggest block right now is just my health, right? I'm getting to the end. I literally have like a month left. My body does not love pregnancy. That's not a great affirmation, but it's what I'm feeling right now, right? And so my biggest block is my body's just not keeping up with what my mind wants to do. What is working though is the fact that I have so many commitments and I have a team. Like the fact that I just have that, it keeps me going. Like I have to show up, right? I have to show up. So that's working for me. But now we ask ourselves, what isn't working for us? What isn't working for us? So what isn't working for me is, even though I'm delegating so much, I know I need to delegate more, like, because I need to rest, right? Like that's just where my body is at right now. So as much as I feel like I hire out absolutely everything, I still need to hire out more. So what is it that is not working for you right now? Maybe for you, you don't know how, right? The next question is, how much money do you want to make? And this could be however your brain works, on a yearly basis, a monthly basis, however it resonates in your brain. How much money do you want to make? I like to go monthly, but some people like to go big. So yearly is totally good too. Because we'll talk about both later, either way. The next question is, oops, sorry, I have to keep going back and forth here. Where are you currently at? So where are you currently at? Like if I want to make $5,000 a month, I currently make this much, right? And if you don't know, that's the biggest thing to start. You have to figure that out. Because I've had people be like, I want to make $10,000 a month. I'll be like, awesome, go add up your last 3 months of what you've made every single month. And they'll be like, oh my gosh, I literally made like $13,000. How come it didn't feel like that? It didn't feel like that because money doesn't ever feel different. Like it's a matter of you literally have to track money and every little thing coming in and out for you to know where you're really at. To know, is it really that you need to make that much money, or is there really something else you need to work on? So where are you currently at? And you guys, it can even feel like that, like, right? Like even me and my team can be like, yay, awesome. Like we literally have like hit this ginormous month, right? And I wouldn't have even known it if I didn't track it because so much comes out, right? So much comes out. Like even if there's like, you know, a $30,000, $40,000 month, like literally how much of that goes out. Same thing with my husband's business, right? Like the other day he's like, yeah, so I think I'm owed like $25,000 for this week for something. And I was like, I would never know it because I just got a $10,000 fuel bill, right? I just got it. Like, so it's like, it can still sometimes not feel like enough, even if you're making $100,000 a month, right? So that's why I never judge people for what they make or where they're at, because the feeling about money never goes away if you don't work on the mindset around money. So where are you currently at? Next question. What's the emotion that gets in your way? So what's your top emotion that gets in your way? Is it fear? Is it sadness? Is it anxiety? Frustration? The next question is, who is it that gets in your way? Who is it that gets in your way? There's always a who, always a who. The next question is, who has created what you want to create? So who has created what you want to create? The next question is what questions do I need answered to be able to make this happen? What questions do I need answered to be able to make this happen? And we have one more question, which is just, well, I'm going to let you finish that because you might have a lot of questions on that one. So what questions do you need answered to make this happen? Okay, the next question is, let me find it so I word it right. Who do you need to ask help from? Who do you need to ask for help? And also, I'm gonna attach, if you're watching the replay, you'll have this in your email, but I'm gonna attach some links to the things we're gonna work on today too. I should have had you guys print these out beforehand. If you have the ability to print them out, great. I would do that if you can. If you don't worry, because you can just write it all out. So it won't be a big deal, but I'm gonna attach these here just so everybody has them. And I want to make sure the link is working. Because if not, we may need Heidi. So we'll work on those a little bit, but if you have the ability to print them, great. If not, we'll just draw them out. But okay, so what I want to do now is I want to put you guys, if you're in the replay, you're not going to have this ability necessarily, which is okay. I'm just hoping it doesn't mess up the actual recording. So just when we come back, Kelly, if you'll just make sure the recording's still going, that'd be great. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to break you guys up into, let me see if I can do this, 2 breakout rooms. And let me see if I can do this. I actually have never done this before. So add a room, open rooms, assign. We're gonna go 1, 2, 3. Assign room 2, 1, 2, 3. I'm not sure how to sort of auto close breakout room after. So we're just gonna do, I'm gonna give you guys 5 minutes. It seems like a long time, but I promise you it is not a long time. And what we're gonna do is remove all assigned participants into breakout rooms. Okay, what we're gonna do is, I'm hoping this works. I have not actually done this before, so we're gonna go with this. I want you, so we're gonna have room 1 and room 2. In room 1 and room 2, I want you to just say, okay, I want you to each have about a minute, because some people will go over, but a minute to really just discuss, like, what, after auditing yourself, what are you recognizing? Like, I just want you to just, what are you recognizing about yourself? What you really need to focus on? Maybe if like a particular question really stood out to you, but I just want you to give your insight, right? Because I really believe that when we can start to put out our feelings and our thoughts out there, we can start to manifest the answers, right? And this isn't a place for anybody to coach or offer anything or anything crazy like that, but just, I want you guys just to support each other. So we're going to do 1 minute as far as like what you recognized by doing this audit, maybe what was your favorite question, just things like that. And then I want you also during that same time to really ask yourself like what you're recommitting to at this point, which is funny because we haven't actually done the calendar or anything, but what are you choosing to recommit to at this time, to recommit to? So just be aware the rooms should automatically close. You might get like a 60 or 30-second notice, like room's going to close. Stay in until it closes you out automatically. But just be aware that if you take up too much time, then someone might not be able to go. So just make sure everybody has a chance. I'd say try to keep it to a minute and a half. And let me make sure this is all set up let's do a little, okay, I'm gonna open up all the rooms. And so that means I would say the second someone gets in, just someone unmute themselves and start talking. I guess for those watching the replay, I probably should have stopped the recording before. So hopefully you just fast forwarded to this point so that you have it. We miss you. Wish you were here live. We will wait. They will be joining us back in just 1 second. Perfect, perfect. Was that way too much time? Okay, good. Perfect. I was like, see, time goes faster. And I actually gave you guys 6 minutes, and then I didn't realize I gave you another 60 seconds. So you guys actually had 2 extra minutes. So that's awesome. Okay. So I am going to, were you guys able to open the calendars? Number one, if not, I will repost them if they're still not there. But I'm excited. I just want to hear kind of 1 or 2 takeaways from your breakout rooms before we move on. And then we're going to dive into the nitty gritty goodness. So 1 or 2 takeaways. Go ahead, Jessica.
So I think in our group, it was a mutual good takeaway that even though we said it was the other people that were in our way, that really what we had to recommit to was for like the morning non-negotiables, so we could recommit to our self-worth. I think that was like the one, because that controlled everything else, you know? So
I love it. And I think it's awesome, right? Because it's like, I love to get real with myself of like, okay, here's the issue, or this person's the problem, or this or that. But then it's like having that moment of like, here's reality. But then at the same time, we're the only one that can fix anything, right? And we have to get in control of the solutions. So it really bothers me when people don't acknowledge the reality of like, yeah, you know, like my spouse is the issue or my kid's the issue. But at the end of the day, they're not going to fix anything, right? And so that's a really, really good awakening. Anyone else? Go ahead, Ashley.
Yeah, our group was very similar. We kind of said recommitting to ourself, our relationship to God, and trying to lose the anxiety and fear, embarrassment around being ourselves, because for 2 of us being kind of lost in that mom zone, and feeling guilty for taking care of ourselves, or feeling like it's not the right timing because we have this kid and that kid, and the excuses, and then also just not being ourselves, being scared of being ourselves, and so on.
I love it. And I think that's a huge one. And I think we all, because even me, I can relate to needing to recommit to myself, right? I always talk about fear and anxiety are the things that pop up in my life the most. And even that embarrassment, right? Like yesterday, I was so embarrassed, even though I knew I shouldn't have been, right? So really being like, it's okay to feel this way, but it's something I get to work on, because I should have never let that guy, someone I never want to be like, choose to make me feel a certain way, right? And so I love that. That's awesome. So we are recommitting to our routines, we're recommitting to ourselves, we're recommitting to our higher power, and we're going to now really start to take action, right? So we'll dive deeper into this stuff if you guys have questions a little bit later, but I want to kind of get you a plan going, get you moving forward. But I hope more than anything that this first half, you've really just recognized, okay, mom guilt is just going to be there, right? It's just going to be there. We get to choose how we choose into that, or how we don't, how we're delegating, how we're not delegating, what are the things? Are we adjusting our schedules? What does that look like? Because being a mom is the most important thing in any of our lives, right? And so it's so funny. My son loves to play the game. Dad, do you love me more than mom? Mom, do you know? And we make sure to always tell our kids, yeah, we do, right? Like we do. Like, I would choose you over anybody, including your father, if it came down to anything. And I think that we have to really get real that it is a hard stage, especially if you have younger kids, right? And I hear it's harder and doesn't get that much easier with older kids either. It just gets more busier, right? The fits might get less, but it gets busier. And so then we have to really look at, okay, we get to honor where all of us are at, but at the end of the day, we all want to recommit. We all want a group to feel connected with, and we all want to let go of this fear and anxiety that holds us back. And instead of thinking of the word let go, I want you to think about the word recognize and using it as your compass, right? Instead of letting go of your fear and anxiety, just recognize it for what it is. Instead of wanting to let go of like, oh, well, when my kids are here, then I can focus on me. That's when you start to see like people, like kids start to grow, get out of the house. Mom never focused on herself. And now she's like, what do I do with myself? And that nesting, whatever they call it, that nesting stage, right? When the little birdies left the nest or whatever it is, it's like, then they tend to suffer and go within and be like, they feel lost. They feel like, what, I never focused on myself. What do I do now? My kids have been my whole world, right? And so no matter where you're at along that timeline, I want you to really just think about, today is the day I recommit. Today is the day that I choose into me. And instead of letting everything be an excuse, it's going to be my why. I just get to figure out the pathway to get there, right? It's going to look different for all of us, but I'm going to figure out the pathway to get there, because I have lived the life of traveling the world, being on stage with Les Brown and hanging out with like the Real Housewives and all of the fancy, right? But I was missing soccer games. I was missing like it just, and I almost missed like my dog of like 16 years passing, right? And it was a moment in my life that was like, I thought that's what I had to have to make it, right? Always in LA, always in Vegas, always doing these things. And at the end of the day, I wasn't fulfilled. And that's when I dropped my my other business that I had with a business partner that also wasn't in alignment for me. But it's just all the things I thought I needed, right? I was in this chasing mode. And it wasn't until I actually let go of everything and just started to live in my full potential while still working, you guys. Like, it's not like everything just comes to you, right? Like, that's the law of attraction plus the law of action. But I work hard, I play hard, right? Everything is scheduled out. Everything is to a T. Like, what is my commitments this day, this time, because I know my habits, and I would just lay in bed all day and watch TV if I could, right? No, and I can, but that's not really what my soul wants for me. So my goal is to get you really reconnected to your soul and what that looks like. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive into these things that I sent you. So let me see if I can open. Let's start with the monthly. Okay, why is this not opening for me? It says click to open. Let me see if I click to open it from my computer. One sec. Okay, why is nothing working for me? One sec, I gotta close you guys out first. Everything's not working. Okay, let me see if I can pull this up. So here we go. We're gonna start with this. And if you have it, great, print it out. Pause it if you're watching the replay, definitely print it out if you're watching the replay. If not, you can work with this as we go. So kudos to Heidi. I had this download very last minute, and she created this for you guys. And so she puts my thoughts into images, and I love it because I'm not a visual. But we're going to really focus on this. Now, you're all at different stages. Some of you know what you want to do. Some of you are starting up. Some of you, like, we're just going to do this as if we know, right? So even if you don't know, create a pretend mock one, because it's going to help you when you do know, right? And most of you are in other programs, whether it's group coaching or building your destiny. And so as you work through those different programs, you'll be able to utilize this, but you guys are the only one to see this. So it's going to be awesome. So what you're going to do is at the bottom, you're going to write down your yearly goal. If you're doing this in general, just write your yearly goal on your piece of paper. What is your yearly goal, right? And it could be, I mean, let's be realistic, but let's push ourselves too. You don't have to see the how. You don't have to see the how, right? So maybe if you're only making nothing right now, $1 million is probably an extreme goal. But maybe you could see yourself really wanting to have a 6-figure year, right? Or maybe you're like, oh, I just want to hit 50K, right? Whatever it is that feels good to you right now, you're going to create your yearly goal. So write that down. And if you all just want to play along with the 6-figure plan, we can go that route too. So I'm just going to do it at 6 figures as I give you guys this example, just because it's easy numbers for me. So then we have to be like, if my yearly goal is 6 figures, whatever your yearly goal is, divide that by 12, right? That means your monthly goal is going to be 83, 33, 33. Threes are really good angel numbers, by the way. But even if we just say $8,400, just to round up, $8,400. And this is what me and my team do all the time, $8,400. So now if that's per year, then we get to, or per month, 8,400 a month, and we divide that by 4 weeks in general. Some months have 5 weeks, like this month has 5 weeks. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We're just going to do 4 just because it makes it easy. That means you need to make $2,100 a week. So then you're going to divide whatever your goal up is, yearly, monthly, weekly. We're going to start there. So I'm going to give you a second to put that in. And you don't have to know the how. Don't have to know the how. And you guys, this class actually gave me some massive intuition as far as some workbooks to do. So I'm actually excited that Heidi is on, because she can maybe put my thoughts into a visual as we continue on, because I want to kind of create this into a whole PDF. But so now what we do is like, okay, now we're going to break that into daily goals. And there wasn't enough room. I wanted to make sure you guys had enough room, but I would probably write this in here somewhere. My goal is to just have this really big, and you'll have a spot for it, but we're going to have, actually, I think it's a PDF. You guys, Heidi, didn't we make one that had, maybe I downloaded the wrong one, because I swore that we had one that said daily.
We did have one, but once I put everything in there, it was kind of squished.
Okay, so we're just going to write in. So then the daily goal, I like to do it per 5 days, because I don't really sell much on Saturday and Sunday, but you can divide it up by 7 days if you want to, but I'm going to divide mine up by 5 days, which means my daily goal is $420. So you can come through here, and maybe Mondays are a better day for you. So maybe on Monday you want to make $500, and this day you want to make this much and this much. You can do this however you want. I'm keeping it just super simple right now. So $420 a day. I would write just like daily goal 420. Now we get to look at the next thing that should be written in there. But it didn't fit for us to do it and you to be able to write, is just write the word daily action step, but you don't have to put anything in there yet. Just write it. So now we have this all laid out. We have our daily, our monthly, or our weekly, and our monthly. And then you're going to have a daily action step. But before we even get into that, you guys have to really think about, oh yeah, this could be a great PDF. I'm really excited because this is going to be awesome. And if we create a new PDF around this, I will give you guys all of the goodies, but I'm getting so many downloads right now. So this is why I love new classes too, because I just get so many downloads. So here's what we have to do. Or here's what I do, but I'm trying to find you guys again. Where did you go? Zoom meeting. Okay. So let me pull up a whiteboard. So what we have to do here is look at and this is what I do, me and my whole entire team. And we pull out, okay, so we write out a calendar. If you noticed in your thing, you should be able to have every single month written out there. And one sec, my dog is, my house manager left, so now my dog is scratching because she's used to sitting with me. Okay, so you're gonna see every single month. So now what we have to think about is, say you have January, February, March, right? And you're gonna have a whole entire month written out. What we need to really think about is, what are we selling, creating, and executing? This is what we do every single month. We go through our plan of what are we selling, creating, and executing. So for example, if you need to make, so I'm just going to put August so that we can think about next month. If you need to make $8,400 next month, what is the easiest way for you to get there? What do you want to sell? Right? So when we look at our month this month, I think our goal, we lowered our goal a little bit just because I knew I was going to be in baby mode. So I think our goal is this month is like $40,000, right? So we have it written out. What is the easiest way that my team feels that that can come in, right? So for that, if I did $8,400, if I only sold Finance Your Destiny, I would need to get 15 people into Finance Your Destiny. So maybe my goal this month is to sell 15 people into Finance Your Destiny, which Finance Your Destiny is already going. So that's a horrible example. But I could do it that route, right? This helps you actually see if your price points and what you're actually offering is even doable towards your goal. Because say you were selling, I don't know, a $20 book, right? You would have to sell 420 of those. So you have to really start to ask yourself, we're just brainstorming right now. We're not necessarily creating anything right now, but you have to ask yourself, is what I plan to offer actually doable? So even if you do, I see this a lot with like energy workers, and this is going to be really good for the Foot Zoner, right? If you plan on charging, say, $50 a foot zone, you would have to do 168 foot zones to hit an $8,400 a month. That's impossible, right? Like you just can't do it. So this is how, when I train people, the psychology behind money, sometimes it's just logic. Like logically, you're not set up to make six figures. You're not set up to hit six figures. Now, maybe your goal obviously to start isn't six figures. I don't know, right? But if you can plan for it, then you know different. Now she knows maybe what is more doable. So how I would walk this backwards, I want you guys to write in the chat, how many hours per week do you want to do fulfillment type stuff? So that means sessions or foot zones, or whether it's 0 or whether it's whatever. Really ask yourself, how many hours, and I promise this will all come together, but how many hours do you want to work? Fulfillment, 17 hours per week. Perfect. So if we have 84 hours, we're going to divide that by, say, 17. Oops. Or $8,400, divide that by, well, that's per month. So we'll actually go back to our weekly. So 21 hours, divide that by 17. So that means you need to at least be charging $123 per hour if we're thinking in hours, right? For those wanting to do about 10 hours, right, we've got to divide that by, so that means you have to at least be charging $210 per hour, which means it's doable, right? People pay me $500 to $700 an hour if you think about it. So it's doable. The problem is for, I'm going to use foot zoning as a good example, just because I did foot zoning. You're going to have to create massive value for somebody to charge or to pay you that much. So number one, you're going to be the best and have the best service out there. And my foot zoner, she charges $175 an hour. So it's doable. Like it's doable. Like people pay that, right? But what are they getting in return? So when you're thinking about this, I like to think in packages. Packages are where you make your money. If you guys have never read the Jackrabbit Factor, read the Jackrabbit Factor. It talks about why you should never charge per hour, but you should charge per package, right? So now here's the thing, Jessica's like, yay, my hourly rate's $125. Awesome. So her issue isn't a rate issue. Her issue might be a lead issue. She's not getting enough leads, right? Yeah, or an audience issue. So that's where I want you to ask yourself the next question is, I'm writing these down because I don't want to forget this because I really want to put this in a PDF, but I'm hoping Heidi's writing it down too. But the next question is really asking yourself, so is the issue you're not charging enough? Is the issue an audience issue? Like you just don't have the right audience that will actually pay that amount? Is it like a what do you call it? Like a package or a product issue? Like you just aren't, like a value issue, right? Like the value is just not there. Or is the issue a lead issue? You just don't have enough leads, right? Those are the questions I would ask yourself right now. Now, as we talk about this, what is coming up for you guys? Like, and comment it in the side. What do you feel like your particular issue is? Audience. When it comes to your 6-figure plan, right? So if it's an audience issue, that means you guys have the right package, right? You have the right amount that you're charging per hour, right? Like you're out there advertising whatever you have for $210 an hour, right? Or $123 an hour. That's the biggest thing. Okay. So, which obviously an easy solution is, or you have, here's what my regular stuff is, and I'm also doing courses, right? So then it becomes, so we have to think about that. So we're going to go back to this again then. So if we look at this, we have, what am I selling? So say I need to sell 15 Finance Your Destinies. What am I creating, right? What I'm creating is probably whatever is coming up next in February. And then what am I executing, right? Maybe if right now I'm executing the Mom Guilt class. So that would be what I'm executing, what I'm actually doing, what I'm fulfilling, right? We could even call this fulfilling. What am I fulfilling? So, or I could say, you know what? I want to get 5 people into Finance Your Destiny, and I want to get X amount of, I want to get like 1 personal client or something, right? So you can split it up that way too. So when you go through these things, let me see, now I got to go back to what I was doing. When you go back through this right here, I want you to be thinking about, and maybe if you, in these lines, you have your monthly goal, right? Maybe also write out down here, what are you planning on selling this month? How much of each thing are you planning on selling? And then it just comes down to filling in those daily action steps. what is my daily action step to make $420 today? Maybe that means if you're charging $210 an hour, you just need to sell 2 hours worth of your services, right? Every single day. I just need to sell 2 people every single day. And it starts to become more doable, right? That's what I want you to think about. And what I want you to really, as you plan this out, write it out. So before we move forward, because we have kind of a mixture of like, okay, well, it could be an audience issue. It could be this. Remember, we're not worried about the how. You've already recognized what the problem is. It may be a package issue, right? Like it may be you're not charging an hourly rate issue. It may be an audience issue. It may be a lead gen issue, right? We could go so many different paths right now. I just want you to create a mock example so that you have it. So I'm going to give you guys about 5 minutes to fill this out. I want you to then take a picture of it and send it to me on Messenger. So you're going to write out your weekly goal, your monthly goal, your yearly goal, right? Well, walk it backwards, your daily goal. And then what is your daily action step? And then there's not a ton of room on here to put all this, but I also want you to ask yourself this month, what am I selling? How many am I selling? And so obviously, what does that mean? I need to sell every single day, right? So I know that's a lot of information. If you guys have questions, I'll be here to answer them. But I want you guys to just start working on that. And then we'll go from there. But I'm going to stay on in case you guys have questions, because it's a lot to take in. And remembering the hours. So maybe you also write on the top, like, remember, I only want to work 17 hours a week in fulfillment. Which means if you think about that, so 17 hours, 17 hours, divide that by, say, 5 days a week. That means 3.5 hours of your day is just fulfillment. So that's not including social media or your marketing or your sales, so keep that in mind too, right? And I hope you guys are following. I'm hoping it's when you start getting into actual data, it can get a little overwhelming. perfect. So I just got Angela's. I love it. Just let me review this real fast. It's just kind of crooked. So now what I want you to do, Angela, is I want you to put, what do you plan on selling and how much? So where, I'd probably put this under the weekly goal part. So let me see actually if I can do this. Just to give everybody a good example. Just gotta figure out how to. Let me see. Sorry, it's not letting me flip it. So I'm trying to figure out how to flip it. Come on, I downloaded it. All right, let me see if I can flip this. Okay. Now that Zoom requires you to do it on Chrome, it just messes everything up for me because then I have to go back and forth. Share. Okay. So if this is a really good example, so if we look at this, so her yearly goal to start out right now is $40,000. Her monthly goal is 3,300 and her daily goal is 750. So what I would say is now right here, I'd be like, okay, to get to this monthly goal, because I like to start with monthly goals, because you're going to have this for every month to hit your yearly goal. What do I plan to sell to hit this monthly goal? So if you're like, okay, I'm going to sell $3,300, how is that coming in? I'm selling how much of what at what price point, if that makes sense. So divide that by, you know, even if you did, you know,
Down,
oh, go ahead.
sorry, Nicole,
Yeah.
down at the bottom, I put my daily goal Monday through Friday is 150 per day.
Yep.
And so it's gonna be 3 foot zones at $50 a piece, Monday
Okay.
through Friday.
So 3 foot zones at $50 a piece. Love it. So what I would say is, so your goal is, your action step is going to be to do 3 foot zones at $50 a piece, which means you are going to, I would probably, to keep up with that, sell 3 foot zones a day too. Because then it will go into the next month and the next month and the next month. That's what I would say I would do. So then go to, that means every single week, if you're selling 3 foot zones a day, you need to sell, if we break it into 15 or to 5 days a week, right? I would say you have to sell 15 foot zones a week at $50 a piece, right? Your daily goal, love it. You're going to have to sell. So just write it down so you have it. So you know exactly every day and every week what you're selling so that you can hold yourself accountable to that. Because what happens is the day will pass, you know, you took this training or you did whatever, right? All these things, and the day will pass, and then it'll be like, oh crap, I didn't sell my 3 foot zones. So now it's like, oh crap, now Tuesday I have to sell 6. And then you're like, crap, I forgot to do that. So now Wednesday I have to sell 9. And that's where people get behind because they're not actually hitting their daily goals. So this is a great example, you guys. Great, great example. Any questions on this? Now, we're not going to go into this because just due to time and stuff, and it would be a whole deeper product. But now if we looked at it and said, hey, if Angela actually created a $5,000 foot zone package, she literally would only have to sell literally almost a half or 1 foot zone package a month, right? And now that could look like you get 10 foot zones, you get my favorite book, you get a set of oils, you get, maybe you also get, a chiropractic adjustment, or maybe you get XYZ, right? Now, so the next level of this before we end is going to be, how do we create packages that are a no-brainer for you and a no-brainer for the client? But now, instead of having to sell 15 times 4, 60 people essentially a month, now you only have to sell 1. Boom. So that's going to be your next level, but let's just get you started, right? Let's get you started. Let's get your foot zone going. Let's hit this. But this is how people start to grow into that 6-figure plan, is adding the value for the clients and for yourself, but also just creating higher level packages that people. So for example, one of my clients that have been with me the longest standing, and she's an energy healer. So she does like Reiki and stuff like that. She easily closes $60,000 a month because she has $7,500 packages that she can offer to people, right? And so, and people pay it in our little podunk town of Cache Valley. So no matter like, if you think it's possible, it's not. Or Spencer, we were talking about, right? Was that, oh no, that was on Building Your Destiny, right? So he does like body talk, and he at an event closed $60,000, right? And it's like, so it's, I just want everyone to think of the possibilities, not what our money believes and what we think people would buy, but what we would do, right? So just keeping that in mind. And sorry, I'm mixing people up. So that is good there. Any other questions on this before we move into time management schedule? So this is literally how I do. So if you take this and you print out a whole year's worth, right? Your January, February, March, April, I would get your whole 2022 planned out, because then you know what you're selling, how much you're selling every single week, every single day, right? And you just already have it planned out. You know what you have to do. Now you just create and go fill in what are your daily action steps to make that happen. And I don't like to plan out a whole month of daily action steps. I like to usually plan out like, what's my action step for tomorrow, right? What's my action step for tomorrow? I like to do it day by day, just because things change or adjust of whatever is working or what's not working. But this is literally, like I said, this is what Ask Kelly and Heidi every Monday. We go over, what are our numbers? Where are we at? What is our marketing plan? And it looks just like what you guys are seeing, only mine's on like a spreadsheet. As far as what we're doing every single month, what we're planning on selling. And then we also go into like lead gen numbers, how we growing our audience, things like that. So that would be like a whole day training. So now what I want you guys to do, if there's no questions there, is I want you to pull up your time management schedule. So let me see if I can screen share this. That's a whole day training. I think everyone in Find Your Destiny needs, for sure. And we do, like, so in group coaching, you guys, we do go over all of this, and we do a 6-hour workshop that's coming up too, where we dive into what's your lead gen, what's this, what's that, right? So we do have things for that too. But it is a good idea. Maybe one day I will maybe that'll be the next brilliant idea that we'll do a training on separately, is just lead gen and audience management. So you have your weekly schedule, right? So here's where we're at, is what I would say is, if you said you were going to work 17 hours, then I would fill in, what are those 17 hours I'm working doing fulfillment? And I would go and write in, okay, I'm going to start at 8, 9, like that's 3 hours a day, right? I think we said maybe 4 hours a day. So maybe from 8, 9, 10, 11, 7 to 11, I'm doing fulfillment, right? So from 9 to 2, I do fulfillment. And I fill that in. That's when I do my fulfillment. That's when I do client appointments. That's when I do XYZ, right? I also know though that I have like my son, I need to get my son ready at like 7:30, right? So I literally go through my schedule and I want you guys to fill out your whole entire day for the week, because if it's planned out, you have it. Now, here's what you need to think about when it comes to time management. Do you do better in chunks, or do you do better by like hour increments, right? For me, I do better in chunks. I know from 9 to 2, I do fulfillment. I just know off of the top of my head that I'm going to do my clients on Tuesdays. I'm going to do like my admin stuff on Mondays. So I like to go fill all of that in just on my to-do list that I have like on my written out planner. But I would say to start with, track your whole entire day. So at 6 a.m., I'm eating breakfast, right? If you even do like in half-hour increments, just put a line there. 6 a.m., I eat breakfast. 6:30, I get the kids ready, right? If you're up that early, I am not, but you know, maybe 7 to 7:30, you do your AM and PM schedule, right? 8 o'clock, you're going to start work. From 8 to 8:30, maybe you're going to work on social media posts. From 8:30 to 9, you're going to whatever, however you want to do it. There is no right or wrong way. The things to think about in your schedule is, what are your everyday daily things you have to do, right? So like I literally, my team used to have to put in my schedule, eat, because I would book myself so full. And I'm actually getting to that point again where it's like today, I literally am working from till like 4 today. And so it's like, I need to put somewhere in my schedules again where it's like eat, because that's not even going in my schedule, right? So I look at what are the things that need done, like obviously what need done, what are my fulfillments I have to do, what business things do I have to do, what family things do I have to do, and then I literally like to put what are the things I avoid, right? What are the things I avoid? And so when I have a to-do list, I wonder if you guys can see this. If I close out of this, these are the things I keep avoiding. So I put them in my calendar and you'll actually see them. It like if I pulled up my calendar, you'd actually see them in my calendar. And I don't think I can pull up my calendar just from here, but maybe you can, but I don't know how to look at this from here. Let me see if I can change it just to have too many things. So if I go to the day, right? If you actually look at my day, maybe it was yesterday. Oh, it's not showing my whole calendar in here. Darn it. I don't know why it's doing that. Either way, like I put like, I don't know why it's not showing, but if you were to look at the top of my day, it's showing Pay Kelly, but why is it not showing other stuff? So in my calendar, I actually have in my to-do list, finish my stuff for my PPP loan, get my real estate stuff done, like all of these things, right? It's like, I actually go and put my to-do list in my calendar, and then I still haven't done them because I'm so bad at it. So I'm like, I'm literally putting reminders right here too, like my PPP loan, Gretchen, like I got to remember like my everyday life stuff, because that's typically what I tend to forget the most. So you have to, so I like to also put my like avoidance stuff in my calendar too. But other than that, you'll just kind of see like things fulfilled in there. But like, I don't go and put social media in my calendar. I just know that I need to do social media every single day. And so I kind of have a mix between a daily checklist of what I do and then also like a schedule, right? And so if things are not getting done my checklist, I go and put it in my schedule. But for the most part, if you guys saw and you look at my schedule, you can just kind of see, let me see if I pull this up again. And if I go to weekly, you can kind of just see on average when I'm working, right? So if we look at Monday through Friday, you can see that like Mondays are kind of just my busy days until about like 2 I'll work, and then I'll do like my life stuff, right? Like I need to get like my lashes done or this or that or whatever that looks like. So but you can see my average working is about the same, but I even put creation time in on Tuesdays, right? Because creation time is something that I don't do very good at. And so I got to remember my creation time, the to-do list in that is either live videos, creating PDFs, whatever that looks like. So, and this, I should show you my Google Calendar. I don't know why it's showing up so funky on here because it's not showing everything. Fridays are my horse days and my days off, right? In the evenings, it's family time, soccer. I only do one like evening appointment on Wednesdays for just a particular client that is on the East Coast, and it just worked out that way. But it's like all of these things, right? But you guys, I run a multiple 6-figure business on a schedule like this. Like really, this is my only work time. This is my networking day. So I go to a BNI meeting, right? Like if I can run a business like this, I promise you time is not your issue. Time is not your issue. It's just you're not being structured enough with your time to get it all in. When I'm 100% with work, I'm 100% with work. When I'm 100% with family, I'm 100% with family, right? Do things sometimes commingle for sure, right? But for the most part, like I like it just, you can see over and over, like I'm at a retreat this week. And like, once again, like we have a truck show, right? So that's going to mess with my horse time a little bit, but that's okay. Like, so there's things, but you have to really look at like, it doesn't have to be that hard. So hopefully that helps give you a little bit of an example of what that looks like. But your job is I want you to go through and utilize that calendar. I don't think it is going to take that much time or that much explanation, which is kind of why I saved it for last. I do want to more leave some time for Q&A, the last 10 minutes, but I do want you to go through and I want you to literally, whether you just scribble it out and be like pink scribbles or work time, this or this time, or if you literally want to write in every little square and be like, from this time to this time, I'm doing social media. From this time, I'm doing this. But what I would say is put what you're actually avoiding in first and then fill everything in the rest. And you're either going to realize what you need to delegate out because you just don't have enough time, right? Like they say, every millionaire has the same 24 hours as you. So even if you feel like I don't get it, I do get it. I've worked very, very hard to create the schedule I have. Ask Kelly. There was a period of time where she was like, I can't even fit a single thing from 9 to 9 o'clock at night into your schedule because you're booked for 3 months straight. And I was like, this is not happening anymore, right? So what did I need to do? I needed to delegate out some things that I was doing in my business, because then it wasn't that family was taking over anymore. Then it was fulfillment. So you know how I told you guys about fulfillment? I think I had like 20 personal clients at a time. And I was like, this isn't working anymore. So now I will only take 5, which means if I will only take 5, I had to raise my prices. I had to raise the value of my packages and the results I was getting people. And I had to, and then I had to create group coaching where people could still get that personalized help, but they didn't have to pay personal coaching packages, but they could still like do it themselves, right? But still be able to ask questions. So I tweak. I am tracking, testing, and adjusting all of the time. And if something isn't working, yeah, for those 3 months, it was the consequence of I fulfilled my commitments. I did it. I toughed through it, right? It's not like I was like, I am stopping everybody now. No, I did it. I toughed through it, but I committed starting this day. I am not doing this any longer. So this is going to help you really adjust. Like when you fill it out and you do it, you're going to see what's working for you and what's just not, right? And that's the biggest thing I hope you saw about this. Like everything in this training is there's no one size fits all for anything. It's more just putting it out there and seeing what is working, what is not working. Ask yourself those audit questions and really just recommit to, okay, what is my new schedule starting this date? Because obviously tomorrow you might not be able to just start a brand new schedule, right? But at what day what is your plan to get you there to create that? So once you guys fill this out, if you want, take a picture of it and message it to me of all of your things that we did today, and I'll give you some like personal advice on what I think I would do if I were you, or just like, even if you tell me kind of what your ahas are that you're recognizing. But take this and fill it out to what works best for you. If it works better to do hour by hour, do it hour by hour, half hour by a half hour, do it half hour by half hour. If it works better to do it in chunks, and then you just have a side to-do list, like 7 to 8 o'clock, you're doing your AM and PM. Okay. You just know, go get your AM and PM sheet. These are my to-do lists there, right? Maybe from 9 to 12, I'm doing work. Okay. In that work time, what's my to-do list, right? I'm going to do 20 minutes of social media, 20 minutes of sales, 20 minutes of content creation, right? Then maybe from 11 to 12, you do lunch, right? And spend time with your kids, right? And then maybe from 1 to 2, that's when you do like live videos or webinars or this or that, right? Or more learning, or whatever that looks like. And then hopefully you're just done working by then. And then you have the whole rest of the day to do whatever you want, right? Or maybe for some people, they have to work a little bit before their kids wake up and after their husband gets home, right? So your schedule, you have the ability to create whatever you want within that schedule. It's just actually creating it and sticking to it. Because at first a schedule is going to feel very restrictive, but once you actually commit to sticking to it, because the very first week or two, you're like trying to commingle the transition of the schedule, and it's really hard and you feel so restricted, but just trust that once you stick to a new schedule, it's so relieving. So relieving. So any questions before we get off? And someone said they were only seeing my blank PDF. So hopefully you guys saw my whole PDF. Any questions? You can unmute yourself or you can type. Oh, I don't know why it was blank. That's so weird. But you guys printed it out, right? So you have it. Can you guys see it now? I don't know why it's blank. It's showing for me, which is really weird. Well, that sucks. I just did a whole explanation on how trying to show you that, but it didn't work. Not sure why it's not working. Well, you guys have it. So you guys have the PDF, or is the PDF you downloaded blank? Through it helped. Okay. So I'm going to assume you guys have the PDF, but I'm not sure why it's blank when I try to screen share it. So mostly like there's nothing I drew on there. I was more just using my mouth and giving you an example. So it's going to make sense to the auditories. The visuals might be a little confused. So hopefully it works. But if you guys have questions, just ask and let me know and we'll go through it. But I keep trying to screen share and I don't know why it's not working. So very, very strange. Okay. Any last minute questions? That 2 hours flew by. Any questions or thoughts on anything we talked about? If not, just interrupt me if there's questions. If not, what I want you to do, explain again the meaning of fulfillment. So fulfillment is what you've already sold and you have to now do, right? So what you've already sold and now you have to do. So for example, let's speak in cow terms, right? Because you run a farm. So it would be, hey, I sold this many cows. Now the next day I have to get them counted out, I have to get them hauled off. It's the actual fulfillment of what you've already sold, right? If you've already sold 20 books, it's the fulfillment of, hey, I have to now go ship these books, package these books, do the actual service, right? Speaking of like foot zoning, like it's what you've already sold, you're fulfilling. So that's where you start to get behind is you start to get repeat people, right? Like she's only going to be able to sustain that $3,300 before she has to raise her price or do something, or else she would have to take on more people. And then that's where people start to work more hours, and they're working an hour to make $1, right? Like when I did massage, I capped out at a certain amount that I could physically do. And so you just at some point have to shift it into packages and other things. Great question. Any other thoughts or questions? Okay, so this was a lot of data. So hopefully you feel like you got the value, but sometimes when I talk value, it like overwhelms people. So what I always say is take what you need to take from this, start applying it. Don't try to take on everything, right? Like you might not be able to change your schedule and your marketing plan right away. Maybe you just focus on your schedule, or maybe you just focus on your marketing plan, right? So be like, don't think that it's all going to come overnight. Like be very, very real with yourself. And what we've decided to do is if anybody wants a free business audit, just get a hold of Kelly and we'll schedule you a free business audit, and we'll help you see what holes are going on through your business and where you're at, and to give you kind of that personalized guidance. So if that's something you want, reach out to Kelly, because she'll get you in the schedule faster than I ever will get you in. And so just reach out to her on Messenger. We'll get that booked. And then other than that, if you guys have questions on anything else or any other programs, or you're wanting the next step into group coaching or something else, please reach out. You are not alone, so don't do it alone, right? Some people though, they can take this, they can run with it. You know how to create a 6-figure plan now. You know what you need to sell. You know how many you need to sell. You know exactly how to rearrange your schedule now, right? It's actually just writing it out and either chunking it or doing it in an hour time slots or whatever that looks like, right? But it's a matter of actually putting it down and then going back through those audit questions and asking, what do I need to delegate, right? What do I need to let go of? Like, what do I need to do more of, right? And it's just doing it. So my challenge to you guys is to just jump in and start doing it. Don't wait for it to all look perfect to get it done, right? So I would say in August, how are you going to make $8,400, or how are you going to make $3,000 or $1,500 or whatever your goal is, right? Like, what is it that you're going to do to actually create that next month? Because we all have excuses as to, oh, well, even me, I'm having a baby in September. Guess what? We have a $40,000 month plan, right? I just had to shift what that looks like because I want to step a little bit away for the first 3 or 4 weeks, right? So I had to shift my plan, and I did it the same way you did it. What are we going to sell? What are we going to do? And then we just dive deeper into also what are our lead gens and things like that too. But same thing. I don't use having a baby as an excuse for not being able to create this. I just have to change a little bit about what that looks like, right? So there's always a solution to your money problems. There's always a solution to your 6-figure plan. It's just being willing to look at everything and adjust as needed when unexpected things pop into your life. So I love that. No more of this, like, when I get here, then I'll do this, or when I get here, then I'll do this. It's like, nope, here's my plan. Here's where I'm at. Here's how I'm planning to make this happen. Starting in August, which is literally in what, 3 or 4 days. So I'm excited for you guys. How do you fix an audience issue? So an audience issue is going to depend on what the audience issue is, right? Is it that you don't have your target market in your audience? which is most of the time the case, which is going back to those things that the advice I gave a little earlier is, I actually wrote them down. Number one, collaborating. Bring people onto your page that have your audience to do lives with, right? Number two, just start friending more people that are within your audience range. Number three, go start participating in other people's groups, start providing value, go to other birthing groups and start giving advice and suggestions for free. Really just start serving, right? Number four, networking, especially if you're needing in-person people, like go join a BNI group, go join different networking groups, right? So I'm constantly looking at how am I growing my audience, right? And I'm friending people, I'm doing networking groups every single week. I'm even doing business lunches every single week. I invite people as guest speakers into my group once a month. We've slacked last month, but once a month. And then I create the marketing material for them to go advertise that they're going to be speaking in my group so that they want to share it, which then brings people into my group. And then I'm just collaborating. We have a retreat coming up, which I hope to see you guys at in August, actually next week, holy cow. And so I'm collaborating with Sarah and we're doing a luxury women's retreat, right? And so me and her are coming together, two totally different businesses. And so it's going to bring in like her audience and my audience, and we just get to hang out and have fun, right? Like no agenda. And so it's like, because friends become your biggest buyers. So the more time that I can really the more that I can really make more friends and serve more people, anybody can message me any time or day and I will respond to them. Why? Because if I can give them help for free, they're going to see that what will it look like if I actually pay her, right? So I love that. So what? I don't know if someone was talking to me, but it was echoey. So yeah, any other thoughts or questions? I know we're 2 minutes over, but any other thoughts or questions? Was this valuable? Because this was like a brand new, so I kind of was seeding it. I mean, I had tons of notes, but I also wanted it to be very personalized too. So it flew by. Hopefully it's just not another thing that sits on your shelf. I hope you make it happen. If there's any part of you that's like, this feels overwhelming, right? If you're a perfectionist or an all or nothing, just pick one thing. Just pick one thing. Go master that one thing, then go do the next thing. Master the next thing, do the next thing. But my word for the past 2 years has been systems. So I have really tried to master the past 2 years, just having systems and tracking in place for everything. The spreadsheet that Kelly uses was like a $500 spreadsheet, you guys, that I was like, it's worth the investment for me to just make sure everything is tracked. Everybody is tracked, right? So it's huge. Was what I thought financial, this plus accountability was what I thought Finance Your Destiny was going to be. Yeah. Finance Your Destiny is a great way to hold yourself accountable. Just make sure you're putting these type of action steps into your action steps, right? To be held accountable for. So instead of it being like, oh, I'm going to, I don't know, go paint a picture, right? Be like, nope. My goal today is I'm going to sell 3 of these. My goal today is I'm going to make $400, right? My goal today is like, it's the action steps you're choosing in Finance Your Destiny that are going to get you the results that you want. Are they these action steps? Our action steps every single day in our business is sales or lead gen, sales or lead gen, sales or lead gen, right? So yes. Okay. Awesome. We're going to hop off. Let me know if you need anything. I love you guys. You're awesome. Hopefully I hear from you guys. If you want that free business audit, get a hold of us and we will get you in and evaluate your business, and yay.